This week we've got racing updates from IXCR, LACC, and Extreme XC, and information about future races coming up from AXCC and Waglers. So strap in as we bring you up to the race pace. Back to Race Pace, sponsored by CW Motorsports. I'm Doug.
And I'm Chad.
And once again, we have racing action. Feels good to be back outside for a change.
Yep. Some of the restrictions are starting to ease. I'm not going to say they've lifted, but they've eased anyway. And they're letting us get out there and doing some racing, so it's a good thing. I'm happy.
So I think we're going to go ahead and jump straight in and work our way backwards to frontwards. Is that a word? Frontwards. Okay. It is now. Frontwards. Sure. So that's going to take us back to last weekend. We had Extreme. It was only their round 2, which seems really weird to say round 2 when you're talking about 4th of July weekend.
July, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, everything's just been postponed, and I know a lot of these series are hoping to get some of the races in, but I don't know if it'll happen. It's just kind of tough. But this one is out at Parsons Motorplex or Parsons Compound, whatever they call it, out there in Odin, Indiana. And it's the one that a lot of the side-by-side guys like because it's a mix of like a motocross track and some in the woods, some XC stuff. So
I'm going to call it Parsons Motory Things Place. That'll be the new name.
Yeah,
but yeah,
we'll call it that.
But honestly, it's kind of a fan favorite as well because UTV racing, usually you catch them as they go up a hill and around a corner and then they're gone. But with the open section, with that motocross section, you actually can kind of pack people around and you get to see them for more than 3 seconds at a time.
Right. The only real issue with Parsons, and I don't hold it against them as a place or anything else because their real setup is for dirt bikes and quads. Those jumps are just 100% not built for side-by-sides.
No, they're not.
I think every time that they've raced there, side-by-sides have flipped on those.
Yeah.
Every time.
It's like NASCAR. We're just, at this point, we're watching for the accidents.
Yeah. The problem is the jumps are too short-faced. They're too tight of a radius going up for the jump, and they always end up bucking the tail over, and they always end up going, nose down and tail up. So.
In fact, that's kind of your racing tip of the day, and I don't have a specific example to cite, but if you go on YouTube, you can find slow motion videos of UTVs jumping, and so if you want to understand the physics of that a little bit better, you can see that you're thinking it all happens pretty much simultaneously, and you leave the jump and you go in this nice kind of Dukes of Hazzard-esque arc, and you land relatively flat. But the reality is what happens is the front wheels leave the ground, and then the back end, that suspension unloads, and if the face of the jump isn't right, if that peak isn't right, if everything isn't just right, it pushes the nose back down really quickly, actually, a lot more than you would think. And if you watch it in slow motion, it makes complete sense.
So if we're going with this tip of the day, I'll give my quickest explanation of it that I can and still be semi-accurate with it. So the rule of thumb is the jump should be twice the length, the face of the jump should be twice the length of the machine. An average machine is 10 feet long, like the X3s are closer to 11 feet long. So that means the minimum length that jump face should be is 20 to 22 feet. Now, A 20 to 22 foot face jump is only good for about 15 to maybe 20 miles an hour, and even then it's going to start kicking the back end up. Because like Doug said, what happens is if your front suspension has not fully rebounded by the time the front wheels are leaving the ground, the back end is still rebounding, and it's then rotating the car, and it has nothing under the front wheels to push against, so it's just rotating the car is all it's doing.
Yep.
So there's my jump face or jump building thing. If you guys want quick numbers, a 15 mile an hour jump, like I said, needs to be between 20 and 22 feet. A 30 mile an hour jump needs to be closer to about 40 feet or better in length on the face. and a 60-mile-an-hour jump needs to be, you better be upwards of 50 to 60 feet. Or 40-something. You could be 40-something and still be okay, probably.
I'd still want to be 50 to 60 feet. I think a 60-mile-an-hour jump at 40 feet would be really sketchy unless you had your suspension specifically tuned for that.
Right. And it would have to be tuned for that jump.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot that goes into it. It's not just pointing your UTV at it and flooring it. There's a little more to it than that.
Yeah.
Unless you're just going for highlight, videos on YouTube, then do whatever you want.
You'll make a YouTube video. Yeah. So
anyways, the race was over the July 4th weekend. Yeah, we got a little sidetracked. But honestly, it's good because if you're interested in racing and you see jumps, you need to know how to approach them. And you should be able to look at a jump on a track you've never been at and do some rough mental math and know how fast you need to be going when you get there. Like, you should be prepping this stuff ahead of time in your mind, not figuring it out on the first lap.
Right.
But anyways, July 4th, 2020, and in the pros, we had number 222, Alan Burton, taking the win. Illinois boy coming over and stealing it from the Indiana guys. Yeah, he has.
He's been good.
Really good.
Now, he's been running into a problem. I don't know if he's got it fixed yet. I know he was fighting it, where right on takeoff, like basically the time it would take him to get to the first corner, his car would die. Then he could restart it, and he would go on the rest of the race, and it would be fine.
Really?
Why it does that, I have no idea. Yeah.
Huh.
So there's several hole shots he's lost, and then he can make it up.
Almost sounds like my first thought was a fueling issue, but that seems like that would just keep happening. Like it wouldn't just be at the beginning. Huh.
Right. I don't know. I don't know if he got it fixed or what it was.
There's some competitors, friend in the crowd with a remote. Just no hole shot for you.
Yeah.
But anyways, Alan Burton takes the win there. Aaron Montgomery comes up in the number 2 spot with William Lovell in 3rd, Devin Smith in 4th, and Mitch Langford rounds out the top 5 in pro. Decent representation for heavies. They actually had 12 of them start. So the heavies are 900cc plus, basically. And they are naturally aspirated as well. So Troy Grant in 1st, Nathan Woodward in 2nd, Logan Hawkins in 3rd, and Lane Boyle running 4th. Rodney Smith rounds out the top 5 there. And then Keith Kelly was running single seat by himself and won that class. And Corey Keith was running in the lights and by himself won that class.
Yeah. Like Alan, he's kind of the mindset, and he's quick enough to do it that... Sorry, there's a fly buzzing me. But he would rather pay the higher entry fee and have a chance for a good payout in the pro class. And I don't blame him.
Yep.
So
completely agree.
That's why he didn't run his RS1 back in the single seat. So
yeah. Nope. Can't blame him there at all. And honestly, I'd rather have a bigger field to compete with. I mean, if you're in it for points, you want to run every race, and you're going to hope in single seat some other people show up and challenge you. Just with the way the season's been, you never know who's going to show up, so maybe you want to run that the whole season if that's what you have. But honestly, you're racing by yourself in a class is not a ton of fun.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of depends on what you're looking to do in that day. If you're just looking to go out there and run with everybody, you're on the track at the exact same time, so you really are running with everyone, but you don't stand a chance of any kind of payout or anything like that. So I understand both sides of it. It just kind of depends what you're wanting to do and what you're going for that day.
Any racing is better than no racing.
Yep. Steve Mueller was out there.
Yeah, also, Steve pulled up in the number 10 spot. He had a few mishaps along the way, and looks like Barry Miller ended up in the number 8 spot.
Cam Mapes was out there.
Yep, pulled up in 14th. Michael Plank just ahead of him in 13th. Just some names we know. And Rob Zidell beats out Michael Plank once again.
Oh, no.
I'm just inciting small riots here because I like to see racing action.
Stir in the pot. Just stir in the pot.
But Steve had a good race. He was actually, quite a bit further up, and then just had a few mishaps and ended up plucking it back in the number 10 spot. But
this has just been his year that he has not had good luck with anything. Just continually working out bugs or just little things here and there that just have bit him. So
Yeah, and it's always small stuff. It's never, he didn't wrap it around a tree. He didn't rip the front suspension off. It's anything like that. It's just these little tiny things, but they cost you,
Yeah. It's a position here and a position there that have been biting him, it seems.
Yeah. So the overall looks kind of like you would expect. The top 10 overall basically are the top 10 pros, so nothing really changes there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think especially with Allen jumping up and stuff like that, you got really the fastest guys just stepped up and stayed in the pro row, and that's kind of what happened.
Exactly.
I'm not saying the guy back in the lights is slow by any stretch, but, I mean, in that machine, he's just not going to be able to make up the horsepower deficiency.
Yeah. And Jason Bannon, DNF.
He did. I think that's his first DNF ever. I think that's what he was saying.
I believe it is as well.
He folded something up on the front suspension. I don't remember what gave.
And it's the first time he's done that in years. Like, I mean, he's a clean racer. He will slow down and finish a race if things are getting technical and tight or things are getting really crazy. He will slow down and finish because you're always better to finish, So for him to ball one up is pretty rare. But yeah, he had a bad day out there.
Yeah, things happen.
Happens to the best of us.
Yep.
So
and that machine's got a year and a half of racing on it now. So.
Yeah, which in trail riding is like 5 years.
Yeah.
I don't know what the exact equivalent is. It's in my mind, I kind of process it like dog years.
Yeah, it's close.
So, but yeah, it was a really, really good time out there. Had a good turnout overall. Rough count shows that they had 20, basically 30 UTVs show up, which is a pretty healthy turnout.
It was ridiculously hot.
It was incredibly hot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which this heat wave needs to break sometime soon because I'm of the mindset it never needs to be warmer than 68 degrees outside. But
I fully agree.
So this past week, well, I say this past weekend, it's actually ongoing right now. IXCR is running. We don't have any official results yet for that one, but this was a youth-only UTV weekend. And so we are going to give a shout-out to Brody Smith, who finished second in the... they've run 2 different classes there, is it?
Yeah, they have a 170 and then the 570s.
Yeah,
so they have
he's
like
up in the...
a mini and then a youth or whatever they call it.
That's right. I was trying to remember the designations. So the minis are the, probably used to call them peewees back in the, if they're riding dirt bikes and quads. So the real young kids. And then the 570s are basically, I think it's the dividing line is once you have a driver's license, once you're 16, then you can be in an 800 or bigger and be racing with the adults. So, but anyways, found himself in the number 2 spot in the 570 there. So I had a pretty good day of it, and that's the only result we really have because officials haven't been posted. But want to give you a shout out, bud. Good job out there.
Yep. From what Devin was saying, that's his dad. He had a couple. He had a couple mistakes. Went into the woods, like missed a turn, went in third, and then made up the spot somewhere. It was super dusty, so not a lot of places you could really pass in the woods where it wasn't dusty. When you get out, it is real dusty, and it was hard to see, and you couldn't really push as hard as you want. So
I couldn't believe how dusty it was.
That was that.
Yeah, I couldn't believe how dusty it was watching the video of them driving to the start line, like just at tooling around pace. But it's like you said, it's been hot. We haven't had the rain, so it was just a mess.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And Brody, if he gets to being on you too hard for getting second place, just remind him that he was 4th place in his last race. So
I keep telling him he's going to have to kick Devin out of the X3 soon.
That's sooner rather than later.
Yep. So, man, we're actually starting to run out of time here. So let's jump to the couple things that are coming up here. We got AXCC next weekend, or this coming weekend, I guess is the best way to put it.
We do. That is going to be out in Mount Pleasant, Iowa, not to be confused with Mount Pleasant, Michigan.
Yeah, 2 different places. So that's this weekend, and then is it 2 weeks after that, or maybe it's 3 weeks after that, is the Heartland Challenge.
Yes.
It is early this year, guys. I have to keep reminding everyone. I've had several people ask me. It is, I think, August 7th and 8th or something like that. It's right around there anyway. So if you're going to Heartland, it is like a full 2 weeks earlier than what it normally is. So be ready for it.
Yep, it is coming up super soon. So I'm trying to... The Googles are failing me here because I'm trying to find the exact date. Come on, you can load, do the things.
I can pull it up on my phone and tell you what the calendar date is. If I can find the calendar.
Because it wants to come up and tell me all about last year's stuff.
Yep, it is the 7th and 8th.
Okay, I thought so. I just want to confirm that before we get accused of being fake news again.
Yeah, well, we are, but not on this.
Well, not on this. Also, Wagler Motorsports coming up next week is going to be running their first event, which is a short course. So far, there's only 2 events on the schedule because of all the delays with the COVID madness out there. So if you're interested, what we'd really like to see is an awesome showing. So if you are at all interested in doing this, please show up, because if we jam-pack these 2 events they have on the schedule, that is going to give them a desire to keep running this in the future, and in 2021 we can have a good full season. If nobody shows up to these 2 events, then they may not even do anything in 2021. So if we could, I would love to see these absolutely jam-packed.
Yeah. One more thing this came up, Waglers, late in the end of last week, they announced that they were going to allow this. So they have an 8th mile drag strip there, and they have a drag event going on that day. If you want to run your side-by-side before the short course event, if you bring some sort of non-knobby, non-mud tires, you can drag race your side-by-side on their regular, normal, paved asphalt drag strip.
Nice.
And you can run your time there. So they're going to allow that. It's 8th mile, so shouldn't really run out of gear too much. I mean, you'll be at the top of it most likely, but it's not like it's quarter mile where you would for sure run out of gear.
Yeah.
So they said, street tires, something non-knobby, non-mud tire, because they don't want you tearing up the prep track.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
They're gonna I think it's $20 to enter, and the winner gets a plaque, and like the side by sides will have their own category in there, their own. So
get a plaque. They get a plaque and
a
fresh belt.
You'll want a fresh belt probably, but it's neat that they're allowing that. But basically, they said they're going to run that. I don't remember what time it starts, but it's earlier in the morning, and there's still a couple hours after to give your machine time to kind of cool off and totally cool down. So it shouldn't be an issue. But it was really awesome that they offered that, I thought.
Yeah. And we are getting close on time, but we saved the best for last. We've got LACC. They ran this weekend. And we do have a few official results. Of course, we've got to throw out a shout to our, I don't want to call him a spy, but our eyes on the track, our man in Havana, Bubba Belair, finished top place in UTV B Turbo. And his machine, which he lovingly calls the Mistress, was not really in top form. She wasn't 100%, but you know what? He still pulled off the win, turned 10 laps down there.
That's a lot. That's a lot of laps. We've said it before. Their tracks seem to be quite a bit shorter than ours. Ours typically are around the 5 mile mark. So maybe some a little more, some a little less. Most of them are closer to 6. Theirs have to be way shorter and way more open because most guys around here are turning like 4 to 5.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I'm looking. He turned 10 laps in 52 minutes. I'm sorry, he turned 11 laps in 52 minutes, 11 laps. And the race we were talking about, the Extreme XC race, in 1 hour and 1 minute, they turned 5 laps, and that was the fastest person out there. So he was, his lap times were basically on average, were 4 minutes, 45 seconds.
Yeah.
That is scooting.
Yeah, that's quick. Anyway.
We'll throw out a shout out to UTVB, Naturally Aspirated. Rachel Cheatwood takes the win there. And Jubal Cheatwood looks like he was 5th in UTVA Turbo. You had Lance Ford and Chris Boyette up in 1 and 2 spots, who those two always seem like they're fighting up there at the top.
Yeah.
So, good day at the track for them, and we always appreciate. Thank you so much for sending us the LACC stuff before it was beneficially published. I mean, we literally are getting pictures of like folded up pieces of paper, but I love it. So, real quick overall, UTV, Lance Ford, Chris Boyette, Jason Williams, Bubba Belair, and David Brock are in the top 5. Jubal Cheatwood ends up in the number 6 spot for overall, and Rachel Cheatwood actually is in 8th.
That's pretty good.
She's in B and A, but she finished ahead of some of the A turbo machines even.
Yeah.
So
she's no slouch, and I've said it many times before. Being a woman, like, racing is the thing to get into if you want to be super competitive, because you being like a guy, there is no I'm stronger and so I can push the pedal harder and go faster. There's none of that. It's all your driving skill.
Yep. And she's taking it to him in an NA machine, so
yep.
Good on everybody down there. LACC, we love you guys, and thank you for sending us updates, and glad we can give you a little bit of a shout out up here in the Great White North.
I'm not in the Great White North. It's still like, well, it's not bad today. It's like 85. But it's been like 95.
It's been terrible. We do want to give a big shout out to all of our sponsors, though. Of course, CW Motorsports, who has sponsored this mess this year, our title sponsor. We've also got Spanx Fab on board, and 834 Powder Coat and Watch Communications, who generously this month gave us a larger allotment on our normal bandwidth, because for some reason we shipped a lot of podcasts this month. I don't know why, but for whatever reason something has changed, and we actually overran our bandwidth limit for the month.
Let's be honest, it's probably like some Russian sites pulling them as comedy bits.
That's my guess, is it's something that it's not just a huge resurgence in popularity or something.
No.
For whatever reason, we went over, and it doesn't seem to be nefarious. It's not like our website got hacked or anything like that. So,
you know what it is? You remember that show? What was that called? The Korean show. It was like a Korean game show that they voiceover dubbed.
Oh, Most Extreme Challenge, like MXC?
Yeah. Most Extreme Challenge. I bet you that's what they're doing with us. They're like voiceover dubbing us in Korea or something.
Perfect. If that's actually happening, and you like, send those to me, because I want them.
I'll watch it. I'll watch it totally.
Absolutely. Well, if you want to find our website that is freshly back up and going, you can go to eminentperformance.com. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram /Eminent Racing. You can find us on YouTube /Eminent Performance. And you can find the audio version of this podcast, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. Anywhere you normally find a podcast, just search for Eminent Performance and you're going to find us. And if it's not too much trouble, if you could give us a like or leave a comment or something along those lines, that helps people know that you are interested in the content. And also, if you want to subscribe, if you're watching this on YouTube right now, on the lower right hand, you'll see a subscribe button. Click on that. And then there will be a little bell icon that comes up. If you click on that, it will actually notify you when we post new content. So it's even more annoying than there being new content. You actually get another alert that you probably don't want. But again, helps us grow. So if it's not too much trouble, do that for us as well.
I'm going to say, I know we've been kind of quiet on social media, Instagram and Facebook, stuff like that. Part of it does play into the lack of racing that's been going on. Part of it is, just being busy with life. We all go through those cycles in life. But we got some stuff coming up. I got some things in the works, and there should be some more posts, and we'll get back to our normal schedule of posts and things like that. So I know we've been a little bit sparse on that stuff, but hang with us.
And we're giving you an extra 6 or 7 minutes today because we didn't do anything last week. So it all comes out in the wash somewhere.
Yep.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks for riding along with us, and we'll catch you down the road.
All right. Thanks, guys.